Hey everybody, Josh here, and welcome to the Go Therefore podcast. Today I had the privilege of sitting with Mike Taylor. He's a candidate for Chaves County Sheriff 2026. He's currently the deputy chief of the Roswell Police Department. We had a really good conversation. We talked about some of his experience in law enforcement. He's a believer, so we talked about some of his walk with the Lord. We talked about some of the reasons he wants to become our next sheriff. We talked about some of the plans that he has for Chaves County. I will tell you, he is a very busy individual, but he could not have been more gracious with his time coming on here, and I really appreciate that. And I really enjoyed the opportunity that I got to get to know him a little bit better, and I hope that you enjoy the opportunity as well. And I'm not here to steer you one way or another. It's not that kind of show. But I will tell you that come election day, I am pushing the button next to his name. But anyway, I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Thank you, Jesus, for this podcast. Please use it to reach somebody lost.
And Jesus came and said to them, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit."
Questions
Yeah.
the other day, and then I went to go pull them back up today, and they wouldn't come up. So I'm like, "Hey, we're just gonna talk."
Yeah, that'll work.
You ask me what questions you want to ask me,
Yeah.
and we're just gonna talk.
Yeah, that sounds real good. I would welcome you to Hagerman, but man, this town kind of likes you. You got more pictures of you over here than my grandma used to have of me up on the fireplace. Are you from Roswell? Did you grow up around here?
No. So I originally grew up in Ruidoso.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Ruidoso, and then after high school, moved over around Capitan, helped on some ranches over there, and then ended up down in Hondo, worked on Diamond A Ranch for a little while, and then I met my wife, and would always come over to Roswell on the weekends, and living in the world, doing stupid stuff,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And but I left Diamond A and came over to Roswell, chasing her.
Yeah.
I chased her till she caught me.
Yeah. There you go. That happens, right? How did once you got to Roswell, were you still a cowboy in summer? Did you go into police work right away, or?
No, so when I was working on Diamond A, I was the assistant wildlife manager down there. So I got a lot of hunts. We raised a lot of pheasant and chucker, and did a lot of duck hunting, raised ducks, and there was a private shooting preserve for the owner, Robert O. Anderson, at the time. And then when I came to Roswell, worked various different things, worked construction. I grew up in construction. My dad owned a construction company in Ruidoso.
Oh, okay.
So I moved over to Roswell, worked in construction for a while, and that's so feast or famine.
Right.
You're either got more work than you know what to do with, or you're starving to death. One of the two, and it can be one or the other within a week.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I went to work. I worked various different things. I worked at McCoy's for several years. Roswell Inn. Worked at Roswell Inn as a maintenance guy for several years, and then I went into sales, which was way out of my.
Yeah.
That was way out of my comfort zone.
What'd you sell?
So I sold, originally I worked for Ecolab, which was kind of connected with, not really connected, it was an independent deal, but they worked a lot close with Noble Cisco.
Okay, yeah.
So I worked for Ecolab for a while, and it was industrial chemicals, restaurant, motel type stuff. traveled. I had the whole southeastern part of the state as a territory, on the road all the time. Back then it was pagers. Cell phones had just started, really being popular.
Right.
And the old bag phones.
Yeah.
That was the first phone that I had, cell phone style. And
Oh yeah, and that was fun to travel with, I'm sure.
yeah,
I worked at Schwann's the first time I had a cell phone, and they sent us to a training in Seattle, and I didn't think nothing of it, and I called my wife. I got back, and that bill was like hundreds of dollars.
yeah, because it was right, because you would pay for it,
Yeah.
and it was only so many minutes,
Yeah.
and then every minute after that was like 25 or 30 cents.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think the first time, you get that little bag phone, and you're like Magnum PI. Grab that phone. I can call anybody anytime. And then that first bill come through, and it was like, whoa,
Yeah.
hold the wagon here, because what is going on? And so yeah, I did sales for a little bit, and then after through that, and then I went into construction tools, DeWalt, Milwaukee, Bosch. I sold industrial equipment for a while, and then I went into sales for first aid equipment. Traveled all through the whole southern part of the southeastern part of the state, traveling all over oil field. I was in the oil field a lot, in Hobbs, Ruidoso, Mescalero. I was just, and it was straight commission.
Yeah.
That's what I worked off of, and I did very well on all of that stuff. But after a little bit, I was, I had 3 little kids. We got 3 children, and a bonus family now.
Sure.
Bonus kids and grandkids, but at that time I had 3 little ones, and you just never seen them.
Yep.
I was gone all the time, and up early in the morning, and get back late in the evening, traveling all over the place. And there was a guy that had just moved to Roswell, and he was an officer who just moved to Roswell a short time before that, and he lived right across the street from us. And so I'd come home, and the next morning I'd be up. About the time I'd be leaving, he'd be getting home. He worked midnights. And then when I'd be getting home, he'd be heading in. And so one day I was out there, and I was going through my van. I had a work van, and I was going through it, and he kind of came over, and he said, "Man, you work like some long hours." He said, "You're leaving when I'm coming home. I'm getting home, or leaving when you're getting home." And he said, "It just seems like you're gone all the time." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I am." I said, "It's exhausting." I said, I don't get to see my family hardly." And he said, "Well, have you ever thought about the police department?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what?" I said, "Years ago, I tested for the fire department. I tested for the police department. Made the list on both of them." I said, "But just never got that call." And I said, "Life goes on. I got bills to pay. I don't have time to sit around and wait." And he said, "Well, what do you think about it now?" I said, I said, "It's something that's kind of always been in my mind, but I got to make money. I don't have time to go through all these processes and sitting and waiting for months on end." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, that's probably okay." He said, I don't think you could make the run anyway."
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, really?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah, I don't." He said, "You're sitting behind that wheel all the time. I don't think you could do it anyway."
Yeah.
So I looked at him and I said, "You wait right there." So I walked inside, and my wife was back in the bedroom. I walked in there, and I jump in the closet, and I'm kicking stuff out, finding my old Reebok high tops that had been in the back of the closet for, 5 or 6 or 8 years. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm fixing to show this guy right here, how the cow ate the cabbage." I said, we're fixing to have a showdown." And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm going to prove to him that I can run." So we walked out. I walked outside, and he looked at me. He said, "Oh, you're serious about this?" I said, "Well, I'm serious, proving you wrong." So we went to the track wool bowl, and he said, "You need to stretch." I don't need to stretch nothing. I said, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Took off and run and 3 laps around it. Come around there, and he has a little stopwatch, and he stops it. Walk around there. He said, "Wow." He said, "I'm impressed." He said, "You actually made it."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yeah, but where's the ambulance at?" Said, "Where's the oxygen tanks and where's the ambulance? You got one coming?" And from there, I mean, and he knew what he was doing.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask how long until you figured out he was getting 8 hours of a comp time. For recruiting you.
Yeah. Well, he knew what he was doing. He knew that if he enticed me
Yeah.
and challenged me enough, and then if I got to that point to where I actually succeeded in what, because he told me, he said, "You did the hard part. The hard part's over."
Right.
He said, "All you got to do is do that again in front of them," and he said, "The hard part's over." And then it planted that seed.
Right.
I was like, wow. Then I started thinking about it, and I thought, man, benefits and all, because I had no benefits in any of these jobs. And so I applied and got hired. And that was in April of 2000.
Yeah. Did y'all go to? Did you guys go to Santa Fe?
Santa Fe.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah. That's different running over there. I went to the Corrections Academy over there. I couldn't breathe. I'd do great down here on the weekends.
Yeah, that's
Over
me.
there.
As I would come down here, and we would run 3, 4, 5 miles. We'd go out on the weekends, and never even break a sweat. And I get up there, and it was a struggle.
Oh yeah.
Just to get through that first week, get through your assessment testing and everything, and man, it was a struggle. And the entire time I was up there, it was a struggle, but I held my own and did what I had to do, and made the entrance, made the exit, and 26 years later, here we are.
Anybody you graduate with still around on a force, or you?
No. No, most of them, well, all of them are retired that stayed there, that finished through FTO and everything like that. The ones that I went through the academy with, they've retired. I could have retired 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But
what is it that keeps you going there? I remember when we talked on the phone, you said that Lord's is the reason that you do what you do.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing for staying as long as I have is I just wasn't finished. They're just things that I wanted to see come to pass. We had some we just had some changes that needed to be made. With policy, with just the way operations were, just make it better. Right. I've always strived for everything to be better when I left than when I got there. And I know that's kind of a cliche deal, but I just, in the roles that I had gotten promoted to, every role that I got promoted, I had that much more of an advantage to make the changes. And then when I got promoted to deputy chief 5 years ago, then I knew, hey, this is the real spot that, work in conjunction with the chief and the other administrators, and you can make changes. You can make it better. You can just do good things. Right. And we've done it. I mean, we've, over the last 5 years, not because of me, by no means, but the administration has been one of the best administrations that we've had in the 26 years. And I'm not throwing rocks at the prior ones.
Sure.
It's just different times, different age, different techniques come up. It's just a different day and age. And so you have to follow through with that. And And so I just, my goal has always been to just make it better.
Yeah.
Make it good for the next guys coming up. Pave that way so that it's already paved for them. It's in a good forward motion, and then hand it over. And it's not as much of a struggle as some of it that I've had to face.
Right. Yeah, it's the old, the good campsite rule. That
Yeah.
Your parents beat it into you.
Sure.
You got to clean up
Yep.
you got to clean up the where the fire was and
Yep.
pick up the trash.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure, for the next people. Yeah, I've always joked at the prison as I've promoted to different ranks. I've always joked that my contingency plan is that my last 2 years is I was going to step down to officer, just surrounded by all these bosses that I had trained and
Right.
put in place.
Right.
Yeah, following the things I like to see done.
Yeah. No, it's been a great career. It's a calling.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way other than to look at that. It's a calling. You have to have a servant's heart
Mm-hmm.
to be successful.
Right.
There's, especially now, this day and age, you see a lot of officers all over the country who come in, and it's just a different mentality. New generation, younger generation, come in and they haven't really grasped. And I was the same way. I was kind of a late bloomer coming into it. I was 31 years old.
Yeah.
And so I had life experiences. I had a lot of falls, a lot of failures, and things that I'd learned off of, and that didn't work. Let's try something different. Let's learn from it and move on. And so I had life experiences when I came into it, and a lot of them nowadays they're real young. They come in and same back then, but I think it's just a different mentality to where sometimes they're not necessarily looking for a career.
Mm-hmm.
They're just looking for where do they fit. They're just trying to find where they fit sometimes. And so we get officers it's all over the country. You get people that come in and realize, within a year or 2 years, this isn't for me. And and Roswell, it's a tough place.
Sure.
As an officer, it's a tough place. I throughout the years, I've gone to countless training classes, run into different people or meet people from all over the country, and you start swapping stories, telling your stories or talking about different department issues or whatever, and you come to realize that a lot of these places you start telling your story and they're like, wait, what? I've been there for 15 years and I haven't gone through that, or we've never seen that, or this or that. It's a tough little place. You get a lot of experience in a very quick time frame.
Right. How long had you been on the job before it clicked to you, like, oh man, I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to do these things. When did it become that calling for you? Was it right away, or?
No, in reality, the first part, probably maybe the first 4 or 5 years, it was just focused on stability. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, I'd worked in different fields that you couldn't always count on a constant paycheck. You couldn't count on having insurance with 3 little kids. And so in the very beginning, I think it was just, it was a position in the very beginning, and it was just stability. Mm-hmm. And then probably about 4 or 5 years into it, I realized that, hey, this is where I was supposed to be to begin with. Mm-hmm. These last 5 years has just been a settling in phase and a stretching phase, and this is what I'm supposed to do. This is where I'm supposed to be for my career.
Yeah. Was it at that point that you started looking around for things that you wanted to change, for policy you wanted to affect, or did that just come as problems arose?
Yeah, well, no, through that time, I mean, there was different administration. And so, in those lower positions, you have a voice, but it's back then through the older administrations and everything like that, you had a voice, but it wasn't a strong voice.
I see.
Your administration was very strong as far as they were the decision makers. They were, I mean, through my career, I've been super blessed to do a lot of things that a lot of people didn't have the opportunities. I started out and within 2 years, I was chosen by the deputy chief at the time to go into a specialty unit. It was a violent crimes unit, and it was pretty much a quick response team. There was 4 of us, and you didn't have necessarily a district. You just were a high priority response. Shootings, stabbings, any violent crimes. You were the very first one. It was deemed as a detective position, and so I was handpicked for that, which was a very prestigious position.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was a lot of people that wanted those positions, and being on for 2 years, that was a huge deal for me. And when I'm saying 2 years, I'm talking 2 years from hire time. So I still had academy involved in that. So I was essentially on my own probably for a year, a little over, when I got handpicked for this. And like I said, they picked you for reasons.
Sure.
Oh,
yeah.
And so I worked in the violent crimes unit for about 2 years, and then there was a brand new position that had come open. They were looking for volunteers, and of course they go to these specialty units to try and identify if somebody's interested in it. And it was to be you're going to get, the way they presented it to me is, you're going to get deputized and cross-commissioned as a federal agent with ATF. And you're going to help work. You're going to be a liaison. And you're going to help work federal cases. And I thought, sure, why not?
Right. Yeah.
And so I was the only one that, said, yeah, I'll do it. And so that started that path. It was a long process. I had to go through the exact same process as getting hired as a federal agent. Application, extensive background. They had a background investigator come, and they talked to my family. They talked to my neighbors. They researched my school, where I graduated in high school, made sure that everything was what I said it was. It was an extensive deal. It was several months, of going through this. Probably it was like 6 or 8 months to go through this process. And so anyway, after that was completed, they had in the meanwhile, while I was waiting to go through this process, they had moved me into the narcotics division, because that's where they wanted me housed as an off-site location. And so there was some downtime because of waiting for all this paperwork process. So I got pulled in to help, run on narcotics buys, that, different things like that. And that just turned into 2 different hats. When everything finally kicked off with the ATF stuff, I did that for 4 years. And in the same time frame, I was still helping on narcotics, doing a lot of narcotic stuff, carried an entire workload on the narcotic side as well as the ATF side. Did a very large amount of investigations, federal investigations, put a lot a lot of bad guys, I mean, on the felony or on the federal level, felon in possession, sawed-off shotguns, just we were hunting for the worst of the worst.
Sure.
At that time. And so I put a lot of guys in prison, did a lot of investigations, and I had a very strong U.S. attorney out of Las Cruces that was not afraid to prosecute.
Yeah, you get in there and get after them.
Yeah, so that between me on my side and then him on his side, we did a lot of great things, and it was fun. Mm-hmm. It was very strenuous at times because I was wearing both hats,
right.
Constantly. And so then in 2008, I got promoted to sergeant, went back to patrol, did that for a few years between days, midnights, and then I was approached by the administration. They needed somebody to go into our crime scene unit, our technical services unit, and kind of straighten out some flaws and issues that had been going on. So I moved over there as a sergeant, did that for a couple of years, and the chief at the time came to me and said, I need somebody in internal affairs. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I'm your guy.
You keep calling me. So I said, okay. I said, when do I go? He said, tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right. Nothing like giving me an opportunity, So I went to internal affairs, did that for about a year, and then he came to me and he said, or he called me down to the office, and as internal affairs, you work strictly or answer strictly to the chief. Uh-huh. Everything's just, and so I was always down conferring with him about different things that were going on, looking at policies, and if we had citizen complaints, if we had internal complaint, I worked everything. Mm-hmm. And so he called me one day. He said, hey, can you come down to my office? So I went down, I walked in, and him and Deputy Chief were sitting in there. And I said, what's going on? He said, if you have one place you wanted to go, where would it be? And I said, back to narcotics. Mm-hmm. He said, that's what I thought you said. And he said, is that really where you want to go? I said, yeah. And he said, okay. He said, I'll give you, he said, you've done everything I've asked. I've moved you just within one day to another, from here to there. Mm-hmm. You've accomplished everything I've asked you to fix, to change. You've done everything. And so I'll give you a couple of days. You can talk it over with your wife. I said, I don't need a couple of days. I said, my wife supports me in everything I need to do. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay. He said, well, then you start there next Monday.
Yeah, nice.
And so I went in as a sergeant and worked that was in 2012, and worked another 6 years as a sergeant. And then I promoted as a commander. At that point in time, Roswell Police, we had sergeants, commanders, and then deputy chiefs. We didn't have a lieutenant. The commander and lieutenant are essentially the same role, as just different titles. And so I got promoted to commander within that time frame. They left me there at the narcotics. So then I was running the narcotics unit. And then in 2018, then they called me and, hey, the chief and the deputy chief at that time is a whole different chief and deputy chief. Called me and I went in and they said, hey, we want to promote you to a captain, brand new positions. And there's going to be 2 positions and you're one of them. Okay, when do I start? Next week. Man, you guys do not give me, you don't give any heads up, do you? And so went in as a captain, did that, got promoted as from captain to deputy chief 5 years ago, and here we are.
Yeah, nice.
It's been a great, it's been a very extensive career. Mm-hmm. When I look back, a lot of experience, a lot of opportunities, a lot of areas that not everybody gets the opportunity always to go into. A lot of specialty units that, I was chosen for. And I look back and I think, you can go on the mindset that, well, it's all me,
Right.
but it's not all me.
Sure.
I look back at it and I think, God prepared me to go into law enforcement because, 40 years ago, I wanted to be a wallflower. I was not a people person by any means. As far as I didn't want to be a social butterfly.
Right.
My wife was a social butterfly. And I wanted to be in the corner, and I was happy to just be left alone in crowds. I was not a crowd person. But then when I was forced into sales and I say forced, it was a money thing back then, survival.
Right.
3 little kids and they're staring at you all big old blue eyes, looking at you and you're like, hey, I want to give you everything in the world that I can. And so you just chase jobs and you chase things but going into sales and all that prior to going into law enforcement, that stretched me because I had to be a people person. I had to be able to relate with business owners and different people in charge and try and sell stuff. And I mean, it really stretched me. And looking back over the years, there was a plan. I didn't see it,
Sure.
but God had the plan.
Yeah.
Stretch you, and get you ready and prepared for those promotions that you were going to be viably prepared
Right.
to handle. So right now, I mean, it's good. I mean,
Your walk with the Lord, was that going on at the same time as your career, or did you run into Him later?
no. So we started our. So I grew up again in Ruidoso, and went to a Southern Baptist church down in Ruidoso, and back then, in the 70s, that particular church was very almost an institutional feeling. You had Sunday school, a very structured Sunday school, and your Sunday school teachers were 180 years old. And they look like Little House on the Prairie school teachers. They come in and it just wasn't real inviting for a young person. And I enjoyed going just because I always enjoyed the learning aspect of it, even as a little kid. But it was just kind of scary. Now, on the other spectrum of that, I spent a lot of time, from the time I was little. My aunt and uncle had a big farm and dairy outside of Tucumcari. And so I'd spend my summers there because they had horses. They had, I was riding horses, from the time I was 6, 7 years old, riding horses and helping with. They had a working dairy, but they also had other cattle that we would gather, and there was just a working farm and operation, cattle operation and dairy operation. So I'd spend all my summers there growing up. Well, they were very involved in their church, and it was a very, very deep believed Pentecostal. So I went from when I was at home, going to the Southern Baptist, of you sit there and your hands are in your lap and you don't twitch, you don't move, you don't blink, to going to this where people were running. No, they were running around.
Yeah.
They were hissing like snakes.
Yeah.
They were clucking like chickens. Scare the fire out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was from one spectrum to the total opposite.
Yeah.
And about the time, and every time that I was there, I mean, it was, you followed the rules under their house when you stayed there. You went to church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, every Wednesday night, and sometimes on Sunday nights you wouldn't get out of there till midnight. I mean, it was, and then they would have big revivals, and you'd be there all night long. And so when I hit my teenage years, that's when my aunt and uncle, when I would go, and even my parents, they were like, hey, okay, you have a choice to make. You can go, you don't have to go. It's your decision. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with this. This is weird. This is freaky that you both say that you serve the same God, but man, it's two totally different spectrums.
Right.
And I don't know where I fit in the middle somewhere. So growing up, just never went. Just stayed away. Did my own deal. Lived as a teenager in a mountain environment where there's nothing to do but get in trouble. And I did my fair share of that. Never got in any bad trouble, but just not doing the right things.
Sure. Yeah.
And then I grew up and got out of school, and then as time went on, made some bad choices in life and all, but ended up meeting my wife, and then we started having got married, and we had 3 little kids, and we both of us always knew that we wanted better for our kids.
Right.
We wanted them to have a relationship with God. We wanted them to have a relationship with the church. But not us. We're going to make you go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I played the same role that my parents did. They would never go, but they always made us go when we were growing up little. And so the kids went through Awana's program, and they would always go, and then out of the mouth of babes, my daughter, she's the oldest, she was probably about maybe 6, and we would drop them off at Sunday school first thing in the morning. Then we got free time, kids are there, we got free time, we're going to go to grocery shopping, this and that, and pretend like that was the babysitter. You did the babysitting deal with them. And I went and picked the kids up one day, and as soon as Sunday school got done, and I picked them up, my daughter came out, and she got in the truck, and she said, Dad, and I said, yeah, and she said, why don't you go to church? I said, well, I just, right now we're just not. And she said, then why do you make us do something that you're not willing to? And man, you talking about being convicted by a little blue-eyed, blonde-haired, little girl sitting there staring at you, and full seriousness of it. And so I looked at her and I said, you know what? I said, you're right. I said, you're absolutely right. And got home and I told my wife, I said, hey, we can't lead these kids without leading them right. And that's by example. And so we started going to different churches, and Went to a couple of different ones. Just never felt. Just never felt the home. Never felt at home.
Right.
And in fact, we started out at the church that the kids would go to. That they were going to Awanas. That we went there, and the weirdness of it is that the pastor that was at that church was the same pastor that I went to church at in Ruidoso.
Oh yeah.
He had moved, and he remembered me. I mean, we talked for just a short second, and he looked at me and he's like, "Hold on a minute. Where are you from?" And we talked. He said, "I remember, knew me, remembered me. I was, small, but remembered my sister and different parts of the family, and so I thought, oh wow, this is meant to be, and it just didn't feel like home. So we tried a couple of different places, and then we were invited. One day we were invited to Church on the Move, and it was when it was across the street, little bitty building, and we got there, and it just felt right, and we've been there 31 years.
Yeah. Nice.
Active serving. We've served. My wife has served in the children's part of it for 31 years.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, yeah. She started serving within just a couple of months, and then I followed in right behind her after we started going there, and been there ever since. She's been in the children's the entire time. I worked in the children's. I've worked in security. I worked in the teenager side, and I ran the security for the church for a number of years, and now I help usher, pastor's usher,
Right.
and yeah, it's been so. Shortly after we started going there, then answered the altar call, got baptized. So yeah, 31 years,
Yeah.
And in the very beginning, you're a baby Christian.
Yeah.
You're taking
100%.
baby steps,
Yep.
then you fall, then you get up. But the difference of it is you learn that the falling is stretching you. And you learn from that, and you know that God is there picking you up.
Yep.
And when you don't think that you're doing the right walk, you feel Him beside you walking with you.
Yep.
And
it's nice to get convicted, because it's just a reminder of, man, there's something so good.
yes,
There's something so good that this thing I did is just weighing on my heart and
Right.
beating me up. And it,
Right.
and it wouldn't be doing that if there wasn't something so
yeah,
awesome.
so awesome and powerful. Just saying, I've got better for you.
Yeah.
I've got better for you. And here's all you have to do is just open your eyes, open your heart, open your ears.
Yeah.
Just listen for me,
Yep.
and I'll help you. I'll direct you. I'll and I look back. Our kids. We've been so blessed with making the choices that we've made. They weren't always perfect. None of us are.
Right.
But our kids have grown up in church. And now our grandkids, because all of our kids are still in Roswell, and so now all of our grandkids are growing up in the same church.
That's awesome. That's good.
And all of the kids have served different times. Some still are. Some, because of their schedules or whatever, can't always make that happen. But
Well, that
you've got
takes
generations that that growing up there, and my grandkids, they love. I mean, I've got a 4-year-old grand. She's going to be 4 this year, and she just loves. She's like, "Are we going to church?" It'll be Monday. "We going to church tomorrow?" I was like, "No, I mean, I guess we can swing by, and nobody's going to be there." But
Right. Well, that place is known to
so-
accommodate some schedules. They have some different services. They had like 2 or 3 on Sunday at one point.
we got 3.
Yeah.
We got 3 services on Sunday, and then Wednesday night, of course, and it's very active. It's a lot of involvement, a lot of different ministries. You can get involved anywhere you want. You can find something that you feel led to be in, and I think that's pretty much anywhere. It doesn't, I think that if you're led to, even in different churches, if you're led, you can find where you need to be, where you're supposed to be at.
God uses churches all over the country.
Yeah, and so we've been very blessed, and I look back, and my wife and I talk about it a lot of times, and I say, even maybe at the times that I didn't see it, at that moment, I look back within a short time and reflect on how God has protected me my entire career. There's been instances where, early on, it was very early in my career. It was before I was ever even picked to go to this violent crimes. I interrupted a guy in the middle of a burglary. He took off, jumped in a truck that was, come to find out, stolen. Long story short, chased him for a short time. He ended up backing up head on into me and totaling my car, pinning me in the car. Could have turned out way different.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There was, thoughts that you're going through in your mind. You're pinned in your car. Got this truck stuck on my car. He's trying to get away. I'm thinking, man, we fixing to battle it out here?
Right.
What's fixing to happen? And he ended up getting free off the truck, off the car. Had annihilated my car. I was so mad at that situation because of the car, because I had just gotten that Crown Vic.
Yeah.
And it was pretty and shiny, and I'd just gotten it like maybe a month or so before that. I was so proud of that car. Prior to that, for the entire duration, I was the young ones always shoved in the junkers, till you just wore the tires off of it, and it was only within it was barely limping along when they gave it to you, and so I had this car. So anyway, I was in this, and everybody came out, administration came out that night, and they were like, oh my gosh, because this is a big deal. I mean, you have a guy that's trying to take an officer out. That was his whole intention, was to try and take me out of the picture. And the next day, I was on midnights, and it was the middle of the night, and the next day, my wife had taken me to the shop where my car was taken to, and walk in, and the guys that were in there, they were like, hey, what are you doing? I said, well, I need to get some stuff out of this car. They're looking at it, and they're saying, yeah. They said, man, I got brought in here last night, and we were sitting here looking at it this morning. I said, I hope the guy's okay. It doesn't, I hope they're going to be okay. And I kind of sit there and I looked down and I said, yeah. I said, he's fine. And they said, yeah. They said, man, is he in the hospital? Is he gonna be okay and everything? I said, no. I said, I'm standing right here.
Yeah.
And the one guy looked at me and he's like, what do you mean? He said, this was your car? And I said, yes. And he just kind of looked at me and he said, there's no way. I said, yeah, there is a way. It's my car. And he just stood there and he looked at me and he said, have you seen the windshield? And I said, no. He said, have you seen the steering wheel? I said, nope. I said, I didn't. I was fighting to get out of that car. I said, that was my concern. Just get out. Well, I looked at the windshield, and the windshield was in the perfect shape of a head, pushed out, and there was actually hair. I had hair then.
Yeah.
And there was hair embedded in the windshield. I didn't have a scratch. I didn't have a scratch on me.
That's awesome.
The windshield, or the steering wheel, was bent a little bit. Every airbag in that thing went off. And they said, there's hardly anybody that comes out of these airbag situations that don't have a broken nose.
Yeah,
something. Yeah. And I said, no, I didn't have a bruise. I didn't have a scratch on my head. I didn't have anything. And, you go through and you're like, well, that's kind of weird. And then you start thinking, no, that wasn't weird at all.
Yeah.
That was Jesus' hand, protecting and cushioning.
Yeah, he had something else for you to do.
Yeah, and then through years, you get into different stuff that you sit back and you think, boy, that could have turned out, like just you don't have time to be scared,
right?
At times, you just go through you do your training, you go through the motions, you get the job done, but then after you have a time to reflect, then you're like, man, that could have went way different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Been involved in officer-involved shootings, luckily, and I would never boast about that.
Right, yeah.
Because that's something that I don't ever want people to have to face and go through. And the one that I was involved in, I never had the opportunity. It just went off so fast that I was never in the opportunity to actually pull the trigger. But there was numerous ones there. I don't know if you recall the Taco Bell incident several years ago, a number of years ago. And it was a federal investigation. We had partially a partial SWAT team there and everything when it all went down. And in a flash, it went south. And a lot, like a whole lot of shots fired. I was pinned in between my truck and the target vehicle at the time. And I had numerous shots fired in my direction. And I could hear it. And everything slows down so quick.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
It's just slow motion. And I could literally see bullets coming out of this car, coming through the metal. And I could literally see the metal. I mean, it just, you get such tunnel vision and so slow. And I took off around the front of my truck to try and get cover. And I could hear bullets hitting behind my truck, behind me, and in front of me the whole time I'm going.
Yeah.
Just bam, bam, bam. My truck got hit numerous times. End result, I was never even grazed.
Yeah.
And yet, after the next day, after a big investigation and everything else, and the next day, I go and I look at my truck and I'm like, how on earth did I not get hit? I mean, they're all down the side of this truck where I'm trying to unhinge myself from that area and get out of there. And I knew right then, I the next day or even that night when you have time to, your adrenaline is going to the height that it can ever go, and then you come off of it and you have time to sit back and reflect. And I thought, man, here's number 2, God.
Yeah.
You've saved me twice. you've got plans.
Yeah.
And so I just have to be the one to do the walk that
Yeah.
you point me in the direction and I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
I may fall.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick myself up and keep on going and see what he has in store for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel right now in the position I'm in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the candidate and everything like that,
Mm-hmm.
I would have, it's not anything that I would have thought about maybe
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6 or 7 years ago, really. But as time came on and I seen the changes that needed to be made,
Mm-hmm.
and I prayed about it and I really thought about it and thought, you know, God, if this is what you want me to do, you'll open the windows
Yeah.
and you'll give me the direction to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I started having people cross my path. Hey, you need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You need to run for sure.
Before you would even.
Before I'd even
think
throw
out.
my hat. Yeah,
Oh,
before
wow.
I'd
Yeah.
even, you need to run for sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yeah, okay. Then another month or so went by. Had a couple of people that were actually talking about throwing their name in the
Mm-hmm.
ring contact me and said, hey, your name keeps coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to? We think you should.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are, we're not. I'm like, wow, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then I keep on sitting back and I keep on praying. And I'm like, God, if you want me to do this, you'll open a window. You'll open a window, God. You'll open a window. Well, eventually you're like, you know, the story of the guy in the flood, you know,
Yeah.
God, if you're going to save me, have somebody say, I'm going to go to the second floor. And then finally they get to the roof and they're like, God, and God's like, well, I've sent you a boat, you know, I sent you a helicopter. What else do you want?
Yeah.
You know, and so I've had ease from day one. It was like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is the direction I want you to take. And I talked to my family. I said, hey, I feel this is where I'm being led to do.
Yeah.
And they didn't skip a beat. They were like, we're 100% behind you.
Nice. Now, once you were all in, once you decided, or well, not you, but you and God, once you decided that you're going to do this, what kind of stuff did you start doing at that point to prepare for this role?
You know, I just started doing to prepare for the role
Of sheriff or candidate, either way.
yeah. You know, I just started really just started relying on the direction I felt God was moving me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started reflecting back as to what experience and what knowledge I could bring that is needed for that change.
Mm-hmm.
And just preparing myself, you know, reading the Bible a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why that. I'm not saying that I wasn't before, but it just seemed like
Right.
I started really getting into a lot more and just more in depth and really questioning scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
Not questioning them in a bad way, just trying to
Right,
dig
yeah.
deeper.
Yeah, seeing where you could
Just
where it would
seeing
lie.
and just relying on, you know, scriptures that would come into my head or thoughts, and then I would, you know, try and research, well, what is this? Where does this thought apply in the Bible? And I think it just really prepared me mentally. I feel God, through my occupation and through the time, has prepared me knowledge-wise with everything that I've done through my career, through the 26 years. And then through the promotions of promoting me into higher positions and knowing how to be a true servant,
Right.
and be a true leader, not a manager, not a micromanager.
Right.
And so I think through those preparations, it just really solidified that I have never, from day one, I've never felt nervous
No.
about any of this. Never had a second thought. And like I said, I reflect back and I think, 30 years ago, I wanted to be in the corner watching people.
Yeah.
And here I am now, ready to lead. And I have been. I mean, in the role that I'm at now, I've been leading. And the different roles that I've had before, from sergeant all the way up. You're stretched a little bit to lead this little, and then lead a little bit more, and then stretched a little bit more, and I've been leading for years, but now I'm to the point to where leading an entire department and essentially protecting an entire county. And to me, I'm thinking, God, you're amazing that you have stretched me to that point to where I feel so secure and I feel so entrusted by you, and you've stretched me so far that I'm prepared for this.
Yeah, that's awesome. What are some of your short-term and even long-term goals for the department? Once you're in there, what kind of things are you intending to change?
So my first, in the very beginning, I'm not going to throw rocks.
Right. Yeah.
There's problems, and we'll leave it at that. There's problems, and there have been problems for the last 7 years. Initially, there's got to be the reuniting of this county. There's such separation. And so the county has to be reunited. And what I'm talking about is the law enforcement agencies within Chaves County. We live in such a rural area. And even though Roswell is considered on the verge of being a metropolitan size, still very rural, and we have rural communities just like Hagerman, just like Dexter, like Arthur. We've got to work together, and when you have separation that has been caused, you're not united in a manner to lean on each other, help each other, and benefit all of the communities and all of the entire county. And so, one of the initial steps, day one, I've got a great rapport with every law enforcement agency within Chaves County. I've got a great rapport with all the chiefs. I've got a great rapport with state police, with our federal partners. And so day one, for the initial short term, day one is going to be reuniting, getting everybody, and then work on expanding that through training together, ensuring that everybody is on the same page, because your end goal result needs to all be the same. Right. And that's to make the community safe and protect, to the best possible ability that we can. Training is a huge ordeal. So, to answer your question on short term, I'm going to focus on reuniting the community, getting training deficiencies identified that have been very consistent, but get training deficiencies identified, get those people on a solidified training schedule to start getting those up, because those deputies have to have the tools, the knowledge, and the ability to be able to feel successful, feel knowledgeable, to provide the right service to the citizens of Chaves County.
Right.
Immediately, early on, is going to be restructure the budget and restructure it in a manner to where it's actually feasible and not frivolous spending, which there again has been taking place, but identify where things can be cut and trimmed down, because this is taxpayers' money.
Yes.
And taxpayers expect people in those positions, elected positions, and even in positions that I'm currently at in the police department. It's not an elected position, but that's taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
And so they require, and just as I do, I want my tax money to go to the best of the ability that can be used and done wisely and be a good steward of those finances.
Right.
And so I'm going to initially go into the budget, identify any areas that can be trimmed, and then instantly twofold on that, turn right around and address the county commissioners with, okay, now I've identified this money, I've identified this extra that is not a necessity for the budget of the operating of the sheriff's department. Now how can we apply this to raises? How can we apply this to longevity pay? Create an incentive for the county commissioners to look at it and say, wow, if you save that much, is it that easy for them to say, oh yeah, let's divvy it all up? No, there's a process.
Sure. Yeah.
But if I come to the table, and I've already done similar to the same thing with the Roswell Police Department, working with the city councilors. The Roswell Police Department is a unionized department. And so the administration can't necessarily give them raises, but I have worked on trimming the budget, presenting it to the city council, worked with the city council, and in regards to city council working with the union. And when you provide an excess or an amount of money to the city council and say, hey, we've got this to bring to the pot, I know it's not enough, but we're helping, we're trying. Sure. Then they're far more apt to look at it and say, okay, you've met us halfway, now we'll try and meet you halfway, and then we'll work with the union and get this done. And it was successful. We got those guys decent raises this year. That's my plan with the county commissioners. Those are some of the short term, and it's just a few, but those are some of the short term. Just try and get the department back to where it's trained properly, budgeted properly, and get unity within. I want to work on more of a long term, and when I talk long term, I'm talking within 12 months or so. Because for me to say, well, short term and long term, my short term going into this is going to be within 3 to 4 months. That's my short term. That's where I'm looking at right now, because there's such a disparity that's been going on that you have to shorten your short term, long term.
Correct.
And then you can, once I achieve that short term, now the next step is my short term. Then I go on to the next long term. And
are the chiefs and the other people that you deal with in the community and in the county, are they? I mean, I'm sure that you've talked to them. Are they ready for this unification? Are they
100%?
There's a hunger for it.
There's a very big hunger for it.
Good. That's awesome.
Yes, there's an overwhelming, the support that I've gotten. The support I've gotten from all of the surrounding law enforcement agencies, state police, it's been overwhelming. They have hungered for this for a long period of time. They've dealt with the opposite of what I'm aiming for. They've dealt with the opposite of that for an extended period of time. for the separation has not been beneficial in any way, fashion, or form. So they're very much.
I mean, people are getting. I mean, not to aid in throwing rocks or whatever, but I mean, the people were getting pulled off of calls, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they're trying to. Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah, I mean,
you got to see things through.
well, and you do. You have to see things through. You have to show up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a huge, that's number one. That's police 101. Show up. And when you're not even doing that, okay, then it falls onto the shoulders of who? Who does it fall on the shoulders for? The people?
Right, yeah.
Now do you become your own little militia? That you've got to protect your own neighborhoods and in a sense we've all got to look out for each other. We've all got to protect our own neighborhoods and everything else. But you know what? There's a purpose of law enforcement departments. There's a purpose of law enforcement agencies being in communities or being in position to cover a county for a purpose. And that purpose is do your job. Do your job and do it the best to your ability and give the citizens the knowledge that you're going to at least show up and that you're going to show up, you're going to give them the best service that you can possibly give them. And when you do that, it's so amazing at how much the communities now rally behind your departments. They rally behind helping each other, helping each other's communities. And they start seeing that you're actually going to do what you say you're going to do. And it's not all lip service.
Yeah.
And so many, throughout this entire county, I've heard nothing from one end to the other that they just hunger for that. They hunger for somebody to just be there and just do your job. That's all they want.
It's a big area. I mean,
It's a huge area.
There's a road right out there that's lawless.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A few miles from here, and I mean it's in the county, and there are people there, and there are families there, and there are ranchers there. There are people
Yes.
working there. They need service.
They need service. They need services. And when you combine communities and you work together and you lean on each other and you support each other, then it makes it far easier. Because the county is huge. It spans a lot.
Yeah.
Big area. And one department can't be expected to cover that many square miles single-handedly. That's why you have to have working relationships, good working relationships, have the expectation that you're gonna help each other, you're gonna show up, and that when you do show up, that you both know what the next step is.
Right.
You're not at such odds that it's just a big old tug of war.
Right.
And that's where we're at now. And so, like I said, to go back to the short term, I just, the unity, try and get these guys trained, try and get, work steadfast on getting raises, on getting these guys to where they're not just surviving. Hopefully they can start thriving. And then from there, more long term, I'm looking at, our school programs, getting our SROs more involved. There's only a couple, and a lot of that is based off of, even at the Roswell Police Department, it's based off of manpower. Right now, currently the Sheriff's Department, just like the Roswell Police Department, has vacancies. But the Sheriff's Department is very small. It's a pretty small department for as big of an area as we cover. And so with the losses in through that, it's felt far more, it's a harder hit. And so my goal is, you have to bring something to the table to keep the ones that are there, and that's what I was talking in longevity pay, and to draw new people in.
Right.
And so that has to be one of the very first fights into the step into it,
and all without lowering a standard.
And all without lowering a standard, 100%. Because once you lower the standards, you've done yourself and the citizens no good. You know, you have to maintain top standards. If you don't cut the mustard, sorry, it's not for you right now.
Right.
Let's move on. Let's go do something, or go get prepared a little bit more, and then let's go back at it. But you know, I want to, with manpower issues as they increase, I want to get more involved in the schools. I want to get more involved in the community outreaches into the communities, make a heavier presence. That can only be accomplished with manpower.
Yes.
You know, but even with, in the very beginning, with the limited amount of manpower, you still have a job to do. And you still have a county. You do not. Roswell has a police department. The sheriff's department does not have to be in Roswell all day, every day, all the time. There's a county out here.
Right.
And there's residents, even outside of, just outside of Roswell, surrounding. There's communities. You know, there's I can't say communities, but residential areas completely surrounding. Get out there. Get out and make those people feel protected. Make them feel like you are doing something to make them feel like they matter.
Right.
And that's one of the big things that I've heard, like I said, from one end to the other, is we don't matter. We never see anybody. We don't matter, even when we need them. So there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I've had several people have questioned me, you know, you're really taking on a big, huge mess. Said, you know, I don't look at it that way. I'm not having to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's there. It's just flat. All I have to do is bring the air tank and get it rolling in the right direction. And be persistent and consistent and keep it rolling in the right direction. And eventually it'll get enough momentum that it starts carrying itself.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure there's staff there waiting for that too. Just ready for
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine there is, you know. I mean, I can't speak on their behalf. I won't speak on their behalf. Everybody has their own choices, their own decisions to make. But I can't imagine that they aren't, you know, just ready and willing for just structure, reliability of the staff, knowing that you're going to be there and you're going to do your utmost best to make their life a success, because that's as a police lieutenant, a captain, a deputy chief, a sheriff, lieutenant, captain, under sheriff. Your roles are to prepare these guys a success.
Yes. Yep.
No matter how high you get, your role in that whole position is to prepare and provide the success for the ones underneath of you that you are in charge of, and to make the citizens feel like they're getting the best return on investment of electing you into that position.
Yeah, and being heard.
And being heard.
And your people, your workers, your officers, your deputies want to be heard as well.
That's it.
Yeah.
They have to have they have to have a bought-in vested interest.
Yes.
Because if you don't have vested interest by everybody in the organization, then you're just going to limp along. You know, you're always going to have that broken chain somewhere along the line. But you get everybody bought in to this is the direction we're going. These are the tools I'm providing you. These are the opportunities I'm providing you. This is the knowledge I'm going to provide for you to be as successful and as beneficial you can to all the citizens. And those links just start connecting. And before long, you have a well-oiled machine that is working the way it should. Is it going to be perfect? Nope.
Yeah.
Am I going to be perfect? Nope. Are there going to be people out there from here to the end of time that's going to throw rocks and say, you shoulda, coulda, woulda?
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Suck it up, deal with it, do the best you can. And I'm talking me. I'm not talking,
Right, yeah.
the general public. Suck it up. And no, I'm talking me. You're gonna have rock. I'm gonna have rocks thrown at me. I'm gonna have who knows what.
Yeah.
I'm a big boy. I've dealt with it for 26 years.
Yeah.
And so now God has provided me the opportunity, provided me the knowledge, provided me the experience, provided me the vehicle of the path to get where He's gotten me today. I'm ready, I'm prepared, and we're going to make a change.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And he's taught you how to build teams.
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. Speaking of teams, I don't know anything about your number 2 guy.
So, the undersheriff that I'm pulling with me is Daniel Ornelas. So Daniel was 23 years with the sheriff's department.
Oh, okay.
He retired out of the sheriff's department. Started ground level, just like everybody else does. He retired as a lieutenant. He operated the budget. He operated the patrol side of it. He's got full round experience in the entire department. And I needed somebody that, number one, I could trust. Somebody that had similar experience that I did, that I knew we could lean on each other, and not one so far above the other, as you kind of create an offset deal when you have that, when you have somebody, you're almost trying to train them the same time you're trying to change things. And so I needed somebody that was somewhat equally yoked, per se, to me. Daniel there wasn't a question one from the time that I threw my name in the hat. I thought, I sat back and I thought, who can fulfill this job, who can lead this department, because as an undersheriff, their role is supposed to be maintaining the operations of the department. And so I needed somebody that was going to be strong, that knew where it had been, where it currently is at now, and where it needs to go. And so I sat down with him and I said, hey, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for sheriff. He said, wow. He said, that's awesome. He said, what made you do that? And we talked about it shortly. And I said, I just, the way I look at it is, if I'm not part of the solution, I'm part of the problem.
That makes sense.
And so this is the direction I'm headed. This is what I'm being led to do, and this is what I'm doing. And he said, okay, great. He said, so why are you talking to me?
You're like, well,
I
that's
said,
the other part of this story.
because that's, yep. I said, because I need somebody I can trust. I need somebody that has the experience, that can lead people, because I know firsthand you can. I've seen it. That you can motivate people, that you know what it should be, the direction it should be going in, and how we can turn this around in a fairly quick manner. And his first thing was, he said, why are you doing this? He said, I have one question. And that question is going to hinge my response. that I'm with you or I'm not. Why are you doing this? And I said, because I want better for this county. I've seen firsthand, because when you're in the front view of law enforcement, and especially in a community where we're at, it's fairly small still. I said, I've seen firsthand as to what's going on. It can't continue like this. It's on a path of destruction, and it's already pretty much there. And I said, I'm doing this strictly for the fact of making change for our community. I've got kids, I've got grandchildren that are growing up. I know tons of people that are in the same boat, that have generations have lived here, that they have their families living here, and I want to be able to make a difference for them to feel safe. I want a difference for them to feel comfortable when they're at home and not in fear of who knows what's going to happen. And I said, I've got to step up and be the one to make this change. And he looked at me and said, I'm 100% behind you.
That's awesome.
He said, that's what I needed to know. I needed to know you were doing it for the right reasons, and that you weren't just doing it for something out in left field. And he said, he just sat there and he said, I'm 100% with you. We will make this happen. And so I have full faith in his experience. I have full faith. I've known Daniel my entire career, and essentially he started I think a couple of years before I did, but throughout both of our careers, we've known each other, worked a lot of, even though you're in two different departments, you still work a lot side by side over the years, different things. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for everything that he's done, for what he brings to the table, for the experience, the knowledge. He knows the inside and out of that department. And it's going to be, it's a solid, it's going to be a good team.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like it.
It is. Yep. It's going to be a great outcome. Is it going to be overnight? No, it wasn't broken overnight.
Right. Yeah.
But we're going to do everything we can.
Yeah. Well, that'll help a lot too with his relationships that he's already established there with those.
Yeah.
Men and women. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's
excited to see something.
And he's a very he builds rapport and relationships with all the ones that he works with like that. When he was in there before, he had a good rapport, a good relationship, knows their family. You have to make it personal to a point. You have to know who's working in your department, who is there, and what they're about, what motivates them, what goes. And he's very much that person that he builds great rapport within the entire area, and he truly cares about the success, and he truly cares about the county and the outcome of just the county getting what they asked for,
right?
Getting what they voted for, getting what they pay taxes for, and that's our goal.
Yeah. Now I know it's almost time to go to the polls. It's coming up quick since this is all going to happen during the primary. But how can somebody listening to this who wants to get involved and wants to support you? How can they go about doing that?
The best way at this moment. We're out and about constantly. I'm still working full time. So, and in my position, number one, I refuse to. Number two, it's morally wrong and ethically wrong for me to be campaigning or doing anything during my work hour.
Right.
During my time at work, my duty, my position is to the city of Roswell. So, we do a lot of stuff after hours. We do everything I can on the weekends. For anybody that's out there that's listening and you're saying, what can I do? What can I do to help? The biggest and best thing to do is network. If if you want to hear more, if you have specific questions, if you need specific answers to solidify how, where you want to go on the day of voting, as far as who you want to vote for, then by all means ask. I've got a Facebook page. I've got Messenger. I'm on Instagram. I'll tell you right now, I am not a technological person.
Yeah.
So I've had to have my kids get involved and do a lot of these different things because, they developed smartphones, but it should have been for smart people.
Right. Yep.
To be able to operate them because I get lost. I get very lost on stuff. But there's ways to contact me through Messenger, through Facebook page, through Instagram. I guess you can contact through Instagram. I don't know, but there are ways to reach out and contact me. If you have questions, I have no hesitation to meet people, to call people. I've met numerous people. In fact, last night we were in Dexter. Some people had some questions, just some follow-up questions that they just needed answered face to face. And so met over here or in Dexter and answered the questions, and it's almost like they're in shock. Oh my gosh, you actually drove over here. You actually came to hear us. We just want somebody to hear.
Yeah.
And
I'm in that club. I mean, you drove 30-something miles to come sit on the podcast.
No,
I get their sentiment. Yeah.
That's part of it. That is, you have to be willing to put yourself out there to hear, and to the people that need to be heard, need to tell you, ask you, get a question answered, and that's what most people just want somebody to come through with what they say they're going to do, and especially on an elected position, do what you were elected to do. Right. And but they can reach out to me. Network. If you are sold out and you're saying, you know what, I'm ready for change. This is where I feel. You got to search your own conscience. There's going to be some that are for me. There's going to be some that aren't. That's life. Yeah. But if you get to the point to where, or you're at the point where you just want change, you are listening to this or anywhere else I'm at, and you say, you know what, I trust in that. I trust in what he's saying. Then word of mouth is the best advertisement. Talk to your friends and family and tell them, hey, let's get this change going. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, what it all boils down to is the people. Right. They've got to show up to vote. That's the biggest thing, is anybody that has the means, the ability to vote. If you're not registered to vote, please register. Get yourself. It's super, super, super easy. You can do it online. You can go into Roswell, or I believe you can go into
you can go to the Joy
the
Center.
Joy Center here. Yeah, or even in Dexter, there's areas that you can go in. Please just register. And I've had a number of Democrats that, because we all live in the same county, we may not go for the same party, we may not have the same thought belief of where we're going as a country or this or that or something else, but you know what? We have to take care of home, and home is Chaves County first.
Yeah, we live the same dirt.
And so, we've had a lot of Democrats that have reached out, that we've talked to face, and they said, you know what, We are switching. We already have switched just for the primary, because you can always switch back. There's no cost.
Sure.
It's it's quick and simple. Switch, cast your ballot, and after the primary, then there'll be only one of us that'll be led up to November, and then you'll have the general election. There'll only be one on that ticket, and but number one, if you're not registered to vote, register. Number two, vote. You have to show up to vote. It's so easy now. Early voting starts next month in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Early voting starts. You can early vote. They've got absentee ballots. They've got, or a lot of people just like to go in there on the day of. But you have to show up.
Yep.
You have to show up. Remind your friends and family. If you have a group of friends or family or anything else, and you're all in a mindset of, hey, we have a few more questions or whatever, please reach out, because I have no problems driving anywhere that I need to go to meet with, no matter how many people it is, to meet with them and answer their question face to face. Or I can do it on phone, whatever's convenient for them. But we have to rally together. Yep. We have to work together as a community, because it's going to take all of us to make this change.
Absolutely. That is awesome. And anybody listening, make sure you reach out if you have questions. Make sure you get out there and make sure you register. And if you register, you may as well go vote.
Yes.
There's no reason to put on your running shoes and not go for a jog. Yeah. So while I've got you here, first of all, thank you for your time.
No, I thank you for inviting me to this. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, you've been very, very gracious with me as we've been setting this up, and then with your time here. I like to ask everybody who comes here, first of all, what is your favorite verse, story, or passage?
So the one that I really hang on to, and I've got it in my mind, but I always like reading it so that I get it,
Yep.
Straight for what it is. And it's the one that has always hung with me. It's very simple, and some people may say, man, that's out of the whole Bible. That's the most simplest one you can pick. No, there's a lot of in-depth to it. And it is Joshua 1:9. And this is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So a lot of people will say, well, that's kind of simple. But I have looked at that numerous times, and it's not only pertaining to strength of being strong and know that God's with you, but it goes into the fact that no matter what you're going through, it can be any element. That in itself, if you and I've Googled it in the past, looked it up in the Bible, looked it up through different areas of law enforcement. What is a good scripture for law enforcement? What is a good, and sometimes that comes up, depending on what formats you look at. But it goes far deeper than that, because everybody in their walk in life, at some point in time, you need to have the strength. And if you don't have the strength, you lean on the one that does have the strength. No matter what you're going through, no matter what situation you're facing, and it can be as simple as the smallest thing to somebody else, but it's huge to you. But hold on to your strength, knowing that God is always with you.
Amen. Yeah.
No matter what the situation is. when I have been in those wrecks, when I have been in shootings, when I've been in knockdown, drag out fights, I always knew that there was going to be times that you're going to be afraid. There's not a cop out there that should ever tell you, I've never been afraid. Because if you've never been afraid, you're in the wrong situation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't matter, a policeman, detention guard, it doesn't matter what level of security, safety, you're going to come across elements that are going to rattle your conscience. But you always know that you are protected, you're secured by his hand, and to be strong. And strength is not just muscle strength. It's a strength in your mind that you know, that your relationship with God is so strong that no matter what comes against you, you've always got somebody right beside you.
Yeah, amen. That's powerful.
And it's just something that's always that I look at a lot of times. At night, there's a lot of times that you just wake up at 2:00 in the morning and you're sitting there staring. And you're like, oh man, this is one of those nights, and you just sit there and stare at the ceiling, and so I'll get my phone and look at the Bible on the phone and read, and there's been numerous times to where I'll go through and I'll just be like, okay, we're gonna throw a dart. We're just gonna zippity, and whatever I land on, that's what I'm reading on tonight and trying to dig into. And there's been numerous times that it's gone just straight to that, and it's like. And it's not because I'm having a bad night or a bad situation or that my mind's racing or anything like that. It's just, and that comes up and it's like, be courageous, be strong, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, because I'm always with you.
Amen. How about a hymn or a religious song? You got a favorite out there?
I've not necessarily a favorite. So growing up, my aunt and uncle, my aunt was self-taught piano player. She couldn't read music, never, her entire life, but she could listen to something and play. So, and they were old school, so it was hymnals. And I like some of the old hymns, but I'm really more on the new.
You like the worship music?
I like the new worship music. There's so many. I mean, I couldn't tell you or pinpoint one or five. But there's times to where I'll be listening to the radio or come across something and it'll be an old. An old school, the Oak Ridge Boys. A lot of times they sing old hymns, and so I'll be looking at doing something, and somehow, way, fashion, form, something will come up, and I'll listen. And my wife sits there in the evenings. We'll be sitting there watching TV or something, and talking, and I'll get on, and I'll say, well, I got to check this real quick, and you kind of scroll through Facebook and stuff pops up, and it's songs and different worship songs or whatever, and then I just get encapsulated by that. I'm sitting there looking, and then eventually my wife's looking over and she's like, can you see I'm trying to watch this show? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I said, but this was just kind of overran me, and so no, there's not, I can't pinpoint one or two. I do have favorites, but to pinpoint just one or two, I like the modern worship music, and But I like some of the older too, you know.
That well, I almost had the exact opposite journey from you. I mean, if God was the same; He worked in the same way. But I started off at your church, answered an altar call there, and got baptized there. But I was working at a bar, and some of the musicians were going, who were at the bar, were going to a Baptist church, and they were in a band. And they told me, "Oh, well, come listen to us."
Right,
So,
right.
In a weird way, the music turned me into a Baptist.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've always have a special place of heart for your church.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and yesterday we went. My granddaughter, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. My granddaughter. I've got two of my granddaughters. One is in gymnastics and one's in dance. Mm-hmm. And so yesterday they were having at the wool. What is that? The wool barn or the doggone it? It's right behind the courthouse. Anyway, it's where, like, when they have the shearing and everything, they used to bring all the bags of the wool up to the wool barn, you know, and so they were having a craft show in there yesterday. So we walked up, and you could tell 100% that they were all related. It was an older brother, a younger brother, and maybe a younger sister, or she was in between, and they were up, and just old school. He had the Hank Williams voice, you know, just the old twangy, and they just had a guitar. I think she had a mandolin.
Oh, nice.
And they just stood up there and sang, and I'm like, wow. You know, it just, a lot of people would be not turned off to it, but just not their thing.
Sure.
But I just stood there and I just listened, and I'm like, wow, you know, what talent, number one. And just that old, old twangy voice. And I thought, that's cool, you know, to hear the old gospels that they were singing. And yeah, I like just a variety. Just like I like country music. Mm-hmm. I can listen to a lot of the new music, but I'm just as satisfied as listening to Hank Williams and Johnny Cash and all those guys, you know, from way back when, Conway Twitty and a lot of the oldies that are gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
long gone.
Well,
you know.
I mean, now with Spotify and stuff, you get a little bit, but
yeah,
you got to search for it.
Yeah, but I can listen to that stuff just as and get just as much entertained as some of the new stuff. But
well, that's awesome. And again, Mike, thank you so much for your time. And if you ever have something you're needing to talk about or want to do, please feel free to come back. We
sure.
As often as you'd like.
Yeah.
I do have a tradition around here. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have the guest dismiss us in prayer.
Yes, of course. Of course. Father, we come to you today, and we just thank you for this beautiful day that we had. We thank you for all the listeners that are out there. I thank you for you know, just having the opportunity to come before and fellowship with this, and for anybody that's out there, I pray blessings on them and their family. I pray blessings and over our entire county, our entire state, our entire country. I pray, Father, that you would just heal our entire country, that you would heal our entire state, that you would help us all just do as you would ask us to do, follow your word. And Father, I just thank you for the blessings that you have poured out to all of us in our lives, and that you would continue to bless us, that you continue to heal us. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.